The BMW 8 Series family is brand new. It is part of the rejig in the company's model line, which saw the 6 Series being replaced in a sense by the new 8 Series. So what you get are the 8 Series Coupé, Convertible, GRAN Coupé, and then each of those in their potent avatar badged M8 that has just broken cover. While the 8 Series GRAN Coupé was revealed just in mid-June. And we reviewed the 8 Series Convertible in April. At the time, I told you that India will not get the Coupé or Convertible, but instead we'll get the GRAN Coupé. This now stands as confirmed, and so expect the car to come to us in 2020. It will arrive as this, the BMW 840i sDrive GRAN Coupé, and that's the test car with me. Yes, it's one of those rare times that I'm actually liking a car in white. I have to say the frozen brilliant white on this, which is like a nice matte color, it really looks nice. It suits the car. It's nice and elegant, and yet it gives you the sense of sportiness because it complements the black wheels, the black grille up front, and a few of the black elements all around really nicely. Now, elegance, yes, is important, but inherent sporty character becomes even more important because let's not forget that this is a sports car. It's not trying to be a sedan. If you want a sedan in this class, you should buy the 7 Series, and this isn't that car. So in terms of styling, of course, the elements are very similar to the 8 Series Coupé and Convertible, but the roof sits a little bit taller. It's also a lot more stretched back, and it gives you a really fast dynamic in terms of styling. Of course, the door has been added in, and so you get a lot of that length in here, which is visible. Buyers in India will like that kind of thing. Good amount of muscle in the flanks, and then my favorite feature in the whole styling here is the way that the tail lamp has been done. It's really sharp. It complements the slim lights up front and very much is a nice signature of the 8 Series family. The boot, there's a little bit of this spoiler lip at the back, adds that sporty dynamic character that you're looking for. So on the whole, it's a car that you certainly will notice the second it comes down the street. The new 8 Series GRAN Coupé certainly looks like it belongs to the luxury set, and that it must, given that it will take on everything from an Audi A7 and Mercedes-Benz CLS to even a Porsche Panamera. Of course, the GRAN Coupé is bigger in all ways over the Coupé and Convertible. So it is the GRAN Coupé, which means of course it's got to be bigger than the Coupé. And how much bigger, you ask? Well, 231 millimeters longer, and 201 millimeters of that comes from a longer wheelbase itself. It's 30 millimeters wider and surprisingly 61 millimeters taller too. The taller roof means generous headroom for the rear passengers, and I have to say this optional M Sport trim looks hot. The regular trim will be the chrome line, but inherently this is a good looking car, proportionate and sensuous, and a design that really comes together well. On the inside, there are many options on color and material palettes, and I can safely say that we can expect a fully loaded premium trim with that split panoramic glass roof, crafted clarity crystal finish, iDrive controller, start-stop button and gear stick, and much more. So the launch of the car is only going to happen in the second quarter of the next calendar year, so it's still some months away, which is why we don't have details yet in terms of what the specification of the cabin is going to be, what color palette and trim, but expect it to be fully loaded because, of course, this is going to be a niche offering for those select few who want something different, who want a dynamic, sporty car and not just a sedan. And you can expect, of course, the split sunroof to definitely feature. And it has a nice panoramic effect, gives you a better sense of space back here, which to begin with is not bad. I mean, look at the headroom you get. You look on the outside and you think, is that going to be compromised? It's not, nor is the legroom, and it is a strictly 4-seater configuration because you've got this huge tunnel in the middle. It gives you USB-C slots, it gives you your AC vents, and you can also control the climate control from back here for yourself. Drop-down armrest goes without saying, and the individual seats, well, they're also sports seats because they have a nice amount of contouring, which means that if the driver chooses to go really dynamic, you don't get thrown around. You're nicely cushioned in, which is a good thing because it again maintains the sports car character. Of course, there is a 3-point seat belt provided for a possible middle passenger if someone does want to sit there anyway, but it won't be very comfortable. Up front, the dash has an attractive overall design. You get the virtual assistant, of course, BMW's latest iDrive 7.0, and connectivity options galore. The touchscreen and virtual cluster feature the brand's new look graphics and readings. It all looks very, very cool, to be honest, including the anti-clockwise tachometer. The company is calling this a 4-door sports car, having spent a lot of time driving it on everything from smooth express highways to twisty mountain roads. I'm happy to let them make that claim. The great news is that the GRAN Coupé does not feel terribly different from the 2-door siblings in its driving and handling character.
Now the 8 Series GRAN Coupé has 4 different drivetrain possibilities. You've got the 840i sDrive, which is of course the 2-wheel drive. Then you've got the same with the xDrive, and you've got the 850 where the xDrive is standard. That is of course the 8-cylinder engine, and 840d is the diesel in this lineup. A lot of people were surprised that there was a diesel, but let me quickly tell you, it's not coming to us. So while I would have liked to have driven it and maybe even seen it coming to our market, it's not, so let's not waste any time on it. What do we get? Well, it is going to be the 840i sDrive, so we don't get the all-wheel drive system either. And frankly, given the kind of buyer that we have in this space and the kind of usage as well that the car is going to really end up having, to me, that's actually a practical choice.
Yes, India will be happy with the rear-wheel drive. The inline-6 petrol makes 333 bhp and has 500 Nm of peak torque in a generous 1600 to 4500 rpm band. This engine is 6 kgs lighter than the one that it replaces, and that helps the car's agility. The motor's chief characteristic is the instant response to any slight tap on the accelerator and continued delivery of power through the higher revs. The gearbox is sublime and there is an instant response, no lag whatsoever from the engine. The gears are so quick to up or downshift that you rarely feel the need to use the paddle shifters, though they are very fun to drive with anyway. The GRAN Coupé does feel like a bigger car in comparison to the Coupé or convertible, but only just.
Now, it wasn't that many days ago that I was in the same part of the world to drive the 8 Series convertible. At the time, I remember telling you that it's the chassis engineering and just the overall integrity of that chassis, the stiffness that it offers, which gives you a great drive dynamic that truly impresses, as does the steering. And of course, on the GRAN Coupé, I'm happy to report, all of that has been carried through.
The M suspension is standard on the 8 GRAN Coupé, and the 840i gets the M Sport differential too. You get the usual drive modes, of course: Eco, Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport and Sport Plus.
Now the engine and gearbox are extremely responsive, and that's no surprise. In fact, that's something I expected coming into this, which means yes, the car is really quick and it gets up to higher speeds really quickly too. But if you also want to have that little extra sense of exhilaration to remind you that it is a sports car, put it not just in Sport, but in Sport Plus, and then the engine starts to really sing.
Yes, it sounds better too then, to be honest. So the 840i will do plenty to get your juices flowing. The car is almost as taut as the two-door, as I've been saying, and will nip through corners with ease. It stays on line and won't flinch even a millimeter on a narrow road. The car's DSC or Dynamic Stability Control System will send the appropriate power to either the left or right rear wheel to maximize the right traction required. The car's M Sport differential doesn't only help its performance to be on point, but also helps it to maintain its composure, having a solid positive effect on the sense of control you get driving the car at higher speeds. And before you ask, there is an M8 Gran Coupe on the way, while the M8 Coupe and convertible, of course, like I've said, have already been revealed. Being a luxury offering that is also sporty is not always easy. That a car can excel in both areas is also quite remarkable. The BMW 8 Series Gran Coupe shall certainly be a welcome addition to BMW India's portfolio. It is not a car for everyone and yet is versatile enough to please many. The launch is expected between April and June next year. It may be followed up by the M8 Coupe by the end of 2020.